Okay, how's it going, guys? We're back.
We're back and we're ready to talk about...
Deadpool 2.
That's right.
Yeah, so... Well, Deadpool 2. Alright.
Alright. Well, we just saw it. I'd like to say 30 minutes ago, but it took us way longer to set this up than we'd like to.
Alright, well.
As you can see, we got some new tech. We got a pink backdrop. We got a Deadpool mask. We're ready to go.
We're ready. We got our beers.
Anyway, so let's get right into it, I reckon. I want to reiterate that we haven't discussed the film with each other at all. So these ratings we're about to drop, we haven't talked about them, so they could be different. They're usually not because we tend to agree. But yeah, do you want to count us down to a worth a watch rating?
Let's do it. Alright, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Cool. All
yeah,
right.
okay.
Excellent.
So how about you start us off?
Alright, so, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I wasn't excited about this film. I wasn't...
You said to me that you were excited.
Was it?
Yeah, you said those words to me.
I'm excited about this.
Oh, I said, are you looking forward to this? And you said yes.
Okay, alright.
I guess that's not the same.
I mean, I wasn't anticipating it. That's probably the better way to put it, I'll say. I haven't seen the first one since it came out in theaters.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first one. I thought it was, like, entertaining. I remember it being... I remember laughing a lot, and Ryan Reynolds as the titular character is... he owns it. I can't really
He's
imagine
only the
anyone
titular
else.
character in the first movie, though.
Yeah,
Because his name isn't Deadpool.
Yeah, exactly.
His name's not Deadpool 2. It's still Deadpool.
Just the regular Deadpool. So, yeah. So I guess that was my main point of comparison in terms of what to expect.
The movie that you forgot.
I didn't forget it. No, I remember. Like I remember. I can sort of remember my main problems with that film, which was mainly the third act. How it kind of was all subverting expectations of superhero movies, and then just at the end, it sort of then resorted to those tropes that it was kind of mocking at the beginning.
Yeah, which is a problem that I think is in Deadpool 2 as well.
Yeah.
Not that specific.
Not
the
that's
way
not- yeah.
it represented, but in Deadpool 2, I tend to I found that they would make fun of tropes by doing them exactly, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, you can say, oh, that's bad writing, because at a point, at several points, Deadpool says that's just lazy writing. It's just like, yeah, you're aware of it, but it's still lazy writing.
Yeah, it's like the film's greatest strength is also a weakness in a sense, because, like, yeah, it goes for that. The main selling point is the fact that the humor is very meta,
Yeah,
and it's very
meta.
self-aware, always winking at the camera, breaking the fourth wall a lot, and
It wasn't too much. Like, obviously, compared to other movies, it breaks the fourth wall immensely. But I feel like maybe it was a bit less than the original. I don't really remember the original that well either, because I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters. But
yeah, I would agree with you in that there is less of that, because I think they've established that in the first, and I think the first was really trying to stand out amongst all the superhero films that were coming out, and I think it did. This one, it has everything in it that I made the first one good, I think.
yeah,
It's just that, for me personally, it didn't have that freshness as well.
yeah, it has everything that made the first one good, but the first one still exists as a movie.
Yes.
So
yeah.
it's kind of like, okay, it's that again, which is good, and it brings some new stuff to the table. Like, I definitely think. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call him a villain. It's hard to put a finger on a particular villain in this film.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good thing, because you've got Cable there, and he's not a black and white villain,
No.
and he's some may even say he's not even a villain.
Yeah.
But I think he's a good character for sure. And I don't know how Josh Brolin managed to become the villain in two big superhero movies this year, but
True. Yeah.
he's doing it, and he's doing a great job.
He does. I think he does a good job here. It's not as good as Thanos, I don't think, because
Because
his character, although they do sort of give him a backstory, and it's not as nearly as explored as Thanos, because I don't want to go into.
But he's also not a
here,
big
but
fuck off purple guy, so you can he looks more like a person.
True, he's just got a big fuck off metal arm.
Yeah, so he's the Winter Soldier, which they do make a joke about.
Yeah.
which
Spoilers.
self-aware. Yeah. I think we're doing. I think we've agreed that this is a spoiler review from the get-go. So
Okay, yeah. So
we've left a bit of buffer time so that people who accidentally click on this, not expecting spoilers, can click away and just wait until you see it, because it's worth seeing. It's worth a watch. It's
entertaining. You'll have a good time with your friends if you go out.
If you have friends.
If you have friends, yeah. Get a bunch of popcorn, whatever beverage, whatever confectionery you like, and enjoy this film. It's good. But
okay.
There are some.
I've written some things down.
Okay.
The first of which is just the word dubstep.
Okay, yeah.
And do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, like I know what you like. The inclusion of Skrillex's Bangarang is.
No, well, I don't mind the inclusion of Skrillex. Okay,
Yeah.
well, he mentions dubstep 3 times. It's like the recurring joke of the movie.
It's a running gag.
And it's like, maybe if this movie was released 5 years ago, like that would have been good. But
yeah, see, I'd go even further than that. I didn't really like the music choices in this film. I found that it was.
They had Akadaka, the old AC/DC.
They did. They had Enya in there at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, the music that plays when during the Juggernaut fight, which is like a choir being like, "Oh shit, it's a Juggernaut," like singing that. That was great.
Oh yeah, like saying "holy shit" in the lyrics. Yeah. See, that was good. I'm talking about like the use of licensed music, like the use of Skrillex. It was like, yeah. First off, the joke didn't really land, but then they kept repeating. I was
They
just
kept
like,
bringing it back, and I was like, dubstep was like. It was the easy target maybe 5 years ago when people actually listened to it. No one listens to dubstep anymore. Skrillex is still making music, but he's not making dubstep.
Yeah.
And also, when they brought in the Skrillex song, it was at the complete after the climax of the fight. Like, you expect another phase to that fight between Deadpool and Cable, but it's just him lying on the ground while Bangarang plays, which I guess it could be a subversion of tropes.
Yeah.
Because you expect it to be a fight scene, but it's kind of just like, what am I looking at?
Yeah,
what's happening right now?
The timing was off, I think, on just the placement of the music and for how long they played each of the tracks for. Like that Enya song, they play Only Time. Who can say whether...
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So the choice, like, just to put that in that fight where they're... it's a fight with Cable on like that highway sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Is it when they're rolling through the air?
Yeah, and then the bridge just explodes because I think that's when... Is that the first time the Juggernaut is sort of unleashed?
Unleashed. Yeah, he's unleashed by
the little kid.
What's his name? Name's Russell.
Russell.
And his fire fist.
I'm gonna have to.
The kid's name. I should have looked this up.
Yeah.
I think his
Fire
last.
Fist, yeah.
Well, yeah. What's the actor's name?
Julian Dennison. From Hunt for the Wilder People.
He's a good kid. What do you think of his performance?
Okay, yeah, I was thinking this through the movie because, like, I love Hunt for the Wilder People. I think that's a great film, and I like him in it. I can see. This made me think, though, after seeing him in this, that Taika Waititi must have had like a good honing in on him to get a good performance. This I kind of found a bit too much. I didn't really like him in this film too much. It was a bit...
Okay.
It sort of had that same approach, being like that thug kid.
Yeah.
But I don't
But without the complexity.
Yeah, it didn't really... It wasn't helmed very well, like honed in.
Yeah. Which... One of the main issues I had was... I want to say that they don't go into why he's so damaged. Like, they say, obviously that, these people... He was assaulted at his boarding school. But... They don't really go into that. They don't really go into like who was responsible, particularly whether it was everyone involved.
Yeah.
Because in the climactic fight scene, they're killing these people left, right, and center, and we just have to assume that they're all pedophiles. But it's like some of them could just be there working a job,
Yeah.
and like they're just getting their heads cut off, and it's like I'm not 100% if I'm feeling this right now. Like it's gratuitous violence, Deadpool, great. Like I enjoyed the scene, but in terms of motivations, it wasn't quite there for me.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like, it's a lot of telling and not showing, because everything we know about the supposed bad guys in this is just through characters telling other characters what they've done.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we needed a scene where maybe, like, it's a bit distasteful, but, something... I guess we had that flashback where he was like, the guy was like electrocuting him and saying, his line that he then says when he kills Cable's family.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, cool. Yeah,
It's hard to do that. Like, it's hard to sort of innovate exposition without either having it in dialogue or through a flashback. I think if they like, I don't know, if they tortured him so much that like having like scars on him or something like that, or
Well,
like,
he had a little neck.
I guess that was there, but it still didn't really create much of an impact. I feel the same way with Josh Brolin's character.
In terms of not having a good backstory?
Just not yet developing the backstory enough, which is, I mean, I admit I like where they take his character, how he sort of has that sort of turnaround, and the way he uses his... that I thought was good, how he sacrifices using his time travel thing.
Well, yeah, I thought it was good in terms of him developing as a character. In terms of what happened in the movie, where Deadpool just decides to kill himself for no reason, I thought it was a bit weird because like Colossus goes to take off the neck bracelet thing, and I 100% believe Colossus would be capable of removing that, and Cable has shown to be capable of removing it. So, like, why didn't you just take it off to save his life? Because he has, regenerative powers. That scene lost all its weight for me because I was just like, okay. So you're going to bring him back using this thing, which you totally don't need to waste. You could go back and be with your family. Like, I understand that he wants to stay and make sure Earth doesn't go to shit, but I don't know. How did you feel about that?
The whole ending, I don't know if you remember, because there's this whole like dramatic moment of Deadpool like dying and like getting a lot of humor out of pretending to die and then coming back and blah blah blah, and like after he dies and then he goes into that weird state, and I remember there was like right before it even happened, I was like, no, I don't know if you remember me doing that, because I like as soon there was, can't remember exactly what it was, but it was just a sign that they're definitely just going to bring him back.
It was when the girlfriend said it's not your time.
That was it, and I would have much preferred if he stayed dead.
See, I'm kind of with you on that, but also I kind of feel like, because I wasn't satisfied with the way that he died, I wouldn't have been satisfied with that death at all. Because I was just like, well, that was kind of a wasted death. He kind of just chose to die, which is fine. But and then they bring him back, and it's like, well, did you want to die or not? Because I thought it was semi-powerful, because he was like, I want to die. I'm like sick of living. But then I was like, I feel like there could have been a better way to show that he found a reason to live through those people that he connected with, which are his family now.
See, I didn't buy that, though. I never bought that, like, that those people meant that much to him. I still, like, in the small... I guess it's all because of the first film. In that small, like, just time that you see him and his girl. I've forgotten her name. It's,
You know her name. You know the actress's name.
Yeah, Marina Baccarin. She's great.
Yeah.
She's great. Vanessa, that was her name.
Vanessa.
See, that's why I kind of... This isn't Daredevil, it's Deadpool.
Similar.
So, just I think the reason I liked him, if he'd stayed dead at the end, was because of how it opened, how he was like ready to kill himself, and like that I would have believed, but then to bring it back because of... I much believe he'd rather want to stay with his girl than these people. Well,
he does. It seems like he does. Because
Really?
he kind of says like, oh no, it's... he says something to the effect of, it is my time. Or he's like, he's very keen to stay with her. And then she's like, no, your family needs you. And, all
just
that.
because his woman tells him to. Anyway. What else was there?
Well, let's see what else I've got written down, because I made a few notes. Okay. Why didn't they just kill that guy themselves? If the whole thing was, I'm going to stop this, angry New Zealander from killing the priest, who they all agree deserves to die. They should have just killed him. They should have just been like, bam, okay, now the kid doesn't have to kill him. The kid's got no reason to be angry. We can just talk it out. It's fine. But
see, this is the main conflict of the film. It's that it has the audacity to call out things like plot holes and foreshadowing, but it still suffers from those things. And I think that's the main conceit with this film. And I'm sure if I watched the first one again, it would be there as well. Like,
it's almost like when we review movies and say they're not funny, and then try and make jokes in the reviews.
Nah, but we're actually funny.
I'm sure we are.
Right? One thing because we mentioned before, like, we asked each other, like, How long was that? Because
How long was it?
apparently it's 2 hours. It's longer than the first. But
Well, it didn't feel like 2 hours, which I think is a good thing.
I think it's a good thing, but I also feel like I have some problems with that because I feel like it's not as structurally sound as the first one. Because the first one is all like in medias res. It starts off with him, and it like does that whole classic thing. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation, and it goes to the flashback, and like it catches up, and like. But this one kind of does that as well, except only in the beginning, and like with him lying like about to kill himself, and then flashback, and then it's pretty much just linear the entire way through.
Yeah.
I just felt it was just so frenetic sometimes, where like it's just jumping from place to place, and I found myself towards like between probably the first and the second act, around the time he goes to the jail, I was like, I'm not really caring about anything right now, and I think it's because it was just it didn't really feel like it had a sense of place, and I felt like events were happening, but it didn't like make me invested. It was more relying on the humor.
Yeah, well, I felt a bit different. I felt the same, but I wasn't upset about it because I kind of go into this movie thinking I don't want to care about this. I want to laugh.
Yeah.
I want to have a good time, see some action, and laugh. And I did laugh sparingly, not as much as everyone else in the audience.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the people in the audience were just ready to laugh. They were like, "Yep, I expect humor, so I'm just gonna." There were. One time, Deadpool just broke his back, and I don't know if that was meant to be a joke, but people were just laughing. I was like, "There's no." I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's some of the humor, like not all the humor hits, but I would say more than half of it is good.
I feel like this microphone is getting lower.
Yeah, you might want to raise it up a bit. There you go. Can you tighten it a little?
Oh, everything's falling apart here on the
no.
Worth a Watch set.
That's all right.
Set.
We'll make do.
Anyway, Deadpool.
Yeah. So what was I saying? Yeah, the humor. So I'd say more than half of it hits. Probably like, I don't know, 70-30.
I'd say
About
for me, about half.
About half.
I'm just gonna hold this here.
Okay. I think one of the funniest scenes was when they all jump out of the plane and they're all landing.
Yeah, I like the gag about I was fighting Superman and then I found out he had his mum's name.
Mum's name, yeah.
I was like, ooh, get him.
So, yeah, I'm glad that exists.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Just like imagine the DC producers sitting there if they watch it, it's like, oh right.
Chris Stuckman's gonna rewrite it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Let's not go into that.
We can't. No, we can't.
If you're watching Chris Stuckman, you're right.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's
That's
great.
right.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. The Frozen gag I really liked.
Yeah, I could hear you laughing like extra loud at that, like the kind of laugh that people do when they want people to know that.
Oh, shut up. Because I never made that connection.
Yeah, I don't even know what song you were singing in the first place, but it does sound like.
Yeah.
Would you like to build a snowman?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a good gag. What else is there to talk about this film? There's just like,
Well, Domino's. I'm not going to talk about her appearance.
you did that already beforehand.
Yeah, I did that already, quite positively. But what I'm going to talk about is how low this microphone keeps getting. I'm going to talk about how her power was luck. And I thought that sequence where it kind of, she was chasing the truck and it started to show what her power really meant. I was like, that's great. That's a really cool sequence.
Yeah.
But then her powers, it seemed like she was like trained in combat as well. And it was like, I feel like they could have done that better. I feel like they got lazy with it.
Yeah.
Like she could have had a really cool style of fighting or combat where she just kind of like, I don't know, dipped around and let people do stuff and fall and trip. Instead, she was just like, I'm really lucky and also I'm a ninja of some sort.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
They could have explored it more. I'd say. Like, I'm wondering if it's more, if it's something that people who, like fans of the comics will, be able to like think of an
Yeah, but
excuse
like,
for.
you know,
It's
still a
tough,
movie.
yeah.
It's
It
a
is,
movie
yeah.
on its own. Regardless of the comics, it's one of the things that I thought was a bit of a missed opportunity. Or mainly because they did so well with that first scene. I really enjoyed that. I don't know if you felt the same way.
Yeah.
But I
Which
thought
which scene?
the scene where it's like Deadpool saying to her, I don't know how like your luck could be cinematic at all. And she's doing all this like cool stuff where like cars are crashing around her and like that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was okay. Like she was fine. I think overall, like I wanted to ask you, what did you think of the action? Considering it's the director of one of the directors of the first John Wick.
Which one?
The
Atomic Blonde one or the John Wick 2 one?
The Atomic Blonde one. I haven't actually seen Atomic Blonde, so I can't comment. But I got to say, I was expecting something a bit more
Violent?
no, well, not in terms of violence, just choreography.
Keep talking for a bit, because I'm going to fix my mic.
Okay, yeah, the choreography, it was good. It was like the action was fine. There was no like shaky cam, but I just thought like considering this guy did the first John Wick, I was kind of expecting a bit of a more like fluid style, and I guess you could argue, I guess, that it's trying to sort of emulate the style that was established in the first. But yeah, I mean, that's fine. I guess that's not really the focus in these movies. It's definitely about the humor.
Yeah, but it's also about the R-rated action and kind of,
true.
you know, getting...
The carnage.
There's a lot of violence. It's definitely more violent than any other superhero movie.
Yeah. It definitely is just like, yep, we're R-rated.
Here you go.
Get ready for it. And I respect it for that.
Yeah, me too. But it's kind of... It was a gamble in the first one when they were like, oh, we're making an R-rated movie. We don't know if people are going to go see this. We don't know whether it's going to make any money.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it did. So they were like, let's make another one. And now we know that people are going to come see it because they saw the first one. And
Exactly, yeah. Do you reckon it'll make as much money as the first one?
I reckon it will.
Yeah. Even though Infinity War?
Well, the thing about it is that I think Infinity War is going to help it because people are going to see Infinity War and get excited about superhero movies and go see and want to see another one, the one that comes out, 2 or 3 weeks after.
Yeah.
But the people who are like, Infinity War, everyone's talking about it, I don't like it. They're going to see Deadpool too because they're like, this movie makes fun of superhero movies.
Yeah.
And I've had to hear about, Infinity War for the past couple of weeks, and I hate fun, so I wanna see a movie that hates it as well.
Yeah, true. I guess it's more. Infinity War probably has less of a chance of affecting it, but I'm just because Star Wars gets released next week as well.
Yeah, but Solo,
Yeah, but
Solo movie.
the Star Wars fan base is considerably bigger than the X-Men fan base, I'm sure.
Yeah, but the Deadpool fan base.
Yeah.
It's kind of a different beast to the X-Men fan base.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope it does well because, like, I think you can really clearly see Ryan Reynolds' passion for this character.
Yeah, and he has a lot of fun with the role. He's very good at it. It seems like he's born to play it.
Yeah, he actually had more creative control in this one. Like, he's credited as one of the writers.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
I was just doing a bit of reading beforehand. It was because the original director, Tim Miller, I think that was his name. He originally was supposed to direct this, and he envisioned a more sort of like stylish film, whereas apparently Ryan Reynolds wanted to keep it way more humorous as to what like made the original so popular. And I'd be kind of curious as to see what Tim Miller would have done with it, because
wow.
I would say that I think I prefer the directing style of the first compared to the second. The first as a movie. Whereas this is, it can't really help not feeling as fresh, but it definitely, I don't really feel, I feel like sometimes it sort of rides on the coattails of the first, as opposed to doing something completely like new and different.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think it does anything that fresh or that new.
Yeah.
Which I think is a problem. Mm-hmm. But they went safe with it. Well, as safe as Deadpool movies are, which is safely unsafe.
Yeah.
But it means that it's basically a it's a fun 2 hours that has some good action, good characters, some laughs, and yeah, you're not gonna be upset that you spent money on it, which is like, I guess you can't expect every movie to change your life.
Yeah.
But as long as they give you a good time, you're happy, and Deadpool does that. And it also it's kind of like the hero that hero movies need. It's the guy that comes in and says, you know what, these are worth laughing at sometimes because there's so many of them, and they do a lot of common things, and let's point them out while emulating them, but.
True.
You know.
When does that start to get old though? You reckon? Because there's a Deadpool 3 announced. I'm pretty sure.
Of course there is.
So, like, how many before it starts becoming tiresome?
I would say it kind of goes hand in hand with superhero movies as a whole.
Yeah.
I would say that it becomes tiresome when superhero movies become tiresome, because as long as they're existing, they're worthy of ridicule.
Yeah.
And as long as Deadpool keeps doing it, or whatever movie is going to do it, does it in a fresh way, then, that's fine. That's whatever,
Yeah, true.
As long as they're still doing it well, because that's what it comes down to, the quality of the satire, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
All right, what was your favorite scene in the movie?
My favorite scene? Probably, that's the thing, like, coming back to that structure, I think that's also a problem. It's hard to sort of remember a lot of it, because it moves I think it just it's constantly moving, which is good and bad. Like,
Yeah.
It obviously made the film feel shorter than it actually was, but it's hard to sort of remember like that scene. Like I do remember, like, I remember the scenes that I laughed the most at, because it's clearly not trying to, the dramatic, I think, moments never really hit. Just because
I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't really.
I don't buy that he suddenly wants to save this kid. That's my biggest problem with it.
Well, it seems like his motivation for that is that he thinks that's what his girlfriend wants him to do.
Yeah.
And that she's like, your heart's not in the right place, and it's like, oh, I need to save this kid, and then that's my meaning. And
yeah,
like it's not really a thing that I'm on board with.
Exactly, and I think I think it could become a big problem with these movies, is that because it's sort of formed itself as a satire.
Yeah.
Like, constantly, like, commenting on the genre and the universes of superheroes and stuff like that.
Universe I.
Yes. I was thinking.
Didn't we do that last?
We did do that last time. So it is gonna like have just always sort of be have that role as a satire.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really allow it to it doesn't allow it to be a dramatic, really, that much. It doesn't allow the dramatic moments to actually have any weight, or to have any impact.
Yeah, so I don't know, what's the solution there? Do you think they should just stick to comedy for the entire thing? I definitely
it's tough, because, like, in retrospect, I feel like there's always going to have to be a point where they can't tell jokes and have to tell a story.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just like a skit show, where just like the character does these things and like says his lines, and so it's a tough balance to have. So you're never gonna, I don't think you're never gonna be fully satisfied if you look for dramatic weight in this, which is But
who's gonna look for dramatic
exactly.
weight?
This is clearly catering towards people who want to have a good time, and like, I had a good time. It's just that it's to care even more. I think to have those dramatic moments that are consistent with the character. But that's the thing. This character is constantly cracking jokes and just
he's quippy.
Yeah,
he's a quippy lad.
Exactly. So maybe it's destined for that, but I think it's a tough balance, because I definitely think that when the jokes work, they really do work.
Yeah, they do. But when they don't, they crash and burn. Like when they're repeating dubstep gags 3 times and some other stuff. And it's all, it reminds me a bit of Family Guy, the style of humor, in that it's very referential.
Yes.
Which means it's going to date quickly. And some of the jokes have already dated. Because obviously a movie takes a lot of time to produce and write. And like they can't have every, like it's almost like they should shoot it to have, be like, they write the script, they go out and shoot it, and then they leave spaces for topical reference, because they were making gags about Justice League, and they were funny, but it's like Justice League was a while ago. Like, they could have made it a bit more modern, but I guess that's just the point. But that's one of the traps with having referential humor. It references get old quickly, and when you've got a long time coming to make the movie, it represents a problem for staying relevant and making your film timeless, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I get that. Like one thing that just struck me was like these films. I mean, aside from like the Marvel ranking that we did, I have no like intention of rewatching like a bunch of superhero films that I see in cinema, and I could see someone making the argument, oh, but this one's poking fun at it. You could rewatch it because it'll remain fresh. But like you said, because of what it's choosing to reference and satirize, it would probably date even quicker than than the other ones.
yeah, because like the Marvel films, the jokes rely on just normal standard humor, and the action. Well, we're purely talking about humor here. The jokes are probably going to stand the test of time in Marvel films because they're funny. They're based on basically timing and delivery, and they're humorous. And with Deadpool, the jokes are based off Marvel movies. Yeah,
it's a very reactionary humor. It's like, but it does it.
It does it well
enough.
and the industry does need it. Like it does need someone to be like, haha, you're being dumb. Scene I want to talk about that I enjoyed, the X-Men scene where they were in the X-Men house and they're like, where's they made the gag from the first movie where they're like, how come it's only ever you two guys, and they show the entire X-Men team like just shutting the door. I thought that was great. I thought
that was a good one.
I was just thinking like they got everyone in makeup and like just for that one gag, and I'm glad they did it because like I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. The fact that he's like riding around in Professor X's chair is great.
And he calls Josh Brolin Thanos, which I liked as well.
Yes. Like we were
See, that was a fresh reference.
Yeah,
because they knew that he was going to be Thanos for a long time, so it still felt kind of like topical and relevant.
But we'll see how it goes in 5 years' time.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Something else, like going off what we said before about how it sort of like rides the coattails of what made the first one. I feel like because the character, what's that? The cab driver's name? I'll have to look it up here. Anyway,
isn't it like Rupinder or something?
Yeah, it
was in the credits.
Dopinder, that's it.
Oh, I was close. Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Like I remember him in the first one. He was fine. I didn't really like him. Like he's resorted to.
He's very bloodthirsty in this one.
Yeah, and it's like it gets old quick. Yeah, I find. So, yeah, just those. It's not really a character there. It's more like it's a person who just functions to like ride off Deadpool, and that's the thing. Deadpool's already zany enough. I don't think you need a bunch of zany characters around him.
Yeah, true, because that character worked in the first film because it's kind of like Deadpool's like this, like, you know, he's an assassin in a red suit, and he's like, I need you to get me here so I can kill people. And the taxi driver's like the straight guy who's like, I'm just a taxi driver, like blah blah blah. But then in this movie, he's kind of like really keen for the killing, and it kind of loses that chemistry. Yeah, where they're kind of playing against each other. They kind of
there's not really any like straight people in this. Everyone, like and it works. Like it seemed clear by the end that they're just setting up the X-Force, like because that's an actual thing.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Is it actually?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we'll see. I mean, I kind of liked
Megasonic Teenage Warhead wasn't in this one that much. I was expecting to see more of her.
Who?
Negasonic Negasonic or Mega?
Oh, right, her.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
Justin
yeah,
Bieber.
Yeah.
Yeah. She didn't have much of a role.
She wasn't, no. Guess when you get a girlfriend.
You just fade away.
Just,
Seen
yeah.
that happen many times.
Mm-hmm.
Juggernaut. He was big.
He was.
He's not that big in the other X-Men movies.
No.
Why did they make him so big?
Ah.
Like, he seemed abnormally large. Maybe that's something from the comics. Well, he was abnormally large.
It's hard for me to, like, have any input on that. I guess it's just... So it was a bit... a more believable match against, what's his name, Colossus? When he fought him.
Well, he would still be a believable match.
I'm sure, yeah, but...
Because he's still, like, a big guy. I'm purely talking about whatever X-Men movie he was last in, which was
Well, did you know it was him when they first, like, foreshadowed that big person?
No.
Okay, well, yeah, like, I guess it's just a...
Well, I've never known him to be big in terms of, like, bigger than a big man.
Yeah. I'm sure it's... There's an explanation for it that would be... that's in the comics or something like that.
Yeah.
But...
I'm sure there's something in the comics that will make everything okay.
Yes. Also, why... what was that? Negasonic Teenage Warhead? She was probably not in it because of Domino.
We have another woman.
Yeah.
So why do we... Yeah, fair. And
Yeah.
Domino was cool. I liked her character.
Exactly. I mean, and Negasonic in the first one, she was just constantly not talking, so she was always on her phone.
Yeah,
She
true,
was,
true. But
I guess
she's
that-
kind of like grown up now, and I guess she's still very like just gives him the finger and stuff like that. So
yeah,
she's not much of anything.
not much at all.
Yeah. X-Force. Let's
Yes.
talk about that.
Mhm.
So he puts together the team, and they immediately all perish except for Domino. And so I want to talk about Vanisher. Vanisher?
Yes.
And the fact that he turns into Brad Pitt when he dies.
Is it Brad Pitt?
I
Is
think
it-
it's Brad Pitt. He looks like Brad Pitt. Like, I don't think it's actually Brad Pitt. I think
Yeah.
he looked like a CGI younger Brad Pitt.
I hope it was Brad Pitt, because that would be hilarious.
Well, see, like, why would they... I feel like if they weren't going to do a gag with the fact that he turns into... Like, you see him when he dies, then they would have just kept him invisible. Because, like, it's really funny when they're all skydiving and they just do a shot of a backpack floating through the air.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
It was, yeah. See, like, that was... I'd probably say that's my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah?
It got the biggest laugh out of me. Like, just in terms of consistency of laughs. I pretty much laughed from for that entire...
Just love watching people die, huh, Tom?
Well, yeah, it was it was tastefully done.
We won't go into that.
Not really.
This isn't therapy.
No. Later.
Once the camera's off.
Yes. Yeah, that was a good scene.
I enjoyed that scene.
What was your favorite scene in the film?
Thanks for asking,
Yeah.
by the way. My favorite scene. Oof, it's hard to say. I agree with you in that it's kind of like a big blur. I enjoyed the X-Force montage where they're putting the team together, but I'm just a suck of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorite thing about superhero universe is just hearing all the interesting powers that people have. And like, you had Bill Skarsgård with the acid spit, and then the star. What was his name? He was just like, basically, I'm better than you at everything, and I'm like, okay.
Was this what Terry Crews?
Oh, Terry Crews.
Yeah,
See, I think it's funny. They had all those like bigger actors, and I was like, they have to die because
Yeah.
like Deadpool doesn't have the budget for this, and then just immediately die.
and he did.
Yeah. See, I was kind of looking forward to that because I knew from the trailers that they had a team thing going on, and I was like, I'm interested to see like Terry Crews and like these people like do what they do. They didn't do anything; they just immediately died, which is
Yeah.
which is great.
Which is great, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think my favorite scene was probably my favorite sequence was from assembling the team to the truck heist. That was probably my favorite.
Like,
In the movie when I was
set-piece,
having the
yeah.
most fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That's because, yeah, like the whole prison scene is kind of like I really have to re-emphasize that I kind of lost a bit of interest in the prison scene. One, because he's with this kid who I have no reason to really care about.
Yeah.
And then Josh Brolin shows up at that point, and we really barely know anything about him. He's just like the stereotypical bad guy at that point. So there's not really any. It's just.
Well, he has that kind of intro sequence where he's like in that room. There's like scorched stuff, and you're like kind of like, what's going on here? It's like clearly not Earth. It is Earth apparently, but like it doesn't look like Earth.
Yeah.
So you kind of like get a bit curious about him.
Mm-hmm.
Then he rocks up and starts fighting people. And then I'm just like, they had a second for him to say to Deadpool, why are you protecting this kid? And not a second for him to say, he killed my family in the future.
Yeah.
Like, it's stuff like that where I'm like, oh, man.
It's,
communicate with each other. Just have a chat, Just say, look, this is what I'm doing. Like, Deadpool's clearly just, like, protecting the kid because he's like, who knows? Who knows why? But...
Oh, well.
Just turn your brain off.
That's what you do.
That's why.
If you have a flaw,
just turn it off. Switch her off, boys.
Just remember to switch her on after it's done.
Or don't.
Don't.
Live in ignorance. It works out for a lot of people.
Up to you.
Okay, so Deadpool 2.
Yes.
Are you going to watch Deadpool 3?
Of course, yeah.
Would you watch it if you weren't a movie reviewer?
Yeah, I would. I like Ryan Reynolds as that character enough to watch a film that he's in.
He carries the movie basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's a good movie to see in cinema. I'm not necessarily sure it will age well, but I seldom rewatch a lot of movies, so why not?
It's entertaining, like
and it's good to see the behemoths getting made fun of. The behemoths.
The behemoths.
The big studios and their Cape Kino getting a bit of a... Well, it's kind of funny because Fox makes Deadpool and Fox is now Disney. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like looking in the mirror and be like, ha, you look like a...
Yeah.
I don't know. You look shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like someone making fun of themselves. But it's still funny.
It's still, it's good that it exists.
Yeah, I think I've run out of points that I wanted to discuss. So the humor doesn't really break new ground at all. It's like it's especially considering the predecessor, especially considering that pretty much everything the first movie did, the second movie is just repeating. Yeah, there's not really much interesting happening.
I'm probably gonna rewatch the first one, and I'd be curious to see how much of the humor stays fresh.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting thing to look at because obviously it's going to be a lot of references. And you see it in the cinema, you see Deadpool 2 in the cinema and you're like, yep, I understand these jokes because I saw Justice League and I saw Infinity War and I know these movies. And they have some more classic references to steadfast franchises like Frozen. Yeah. Which isn't really, it's a franchise, I guess. But, it exists and people are really aware of it to a large degree. So stuff like that works. Yeah. But
I think,
I don't know.
Just thinking about the two movies, I really do feel like the structure of Deadpool is what makes me like the first one more.
Really?
Yeah, because I can remember, I think simply put, I can remember in the first one the jokes as well as the scenes. Mm-hmm. In this one, I can only primarily remember the jokes.
You can't remember the scenes?
It's hard.
We saw it an hour ago, man.
We did, but I mean, because it's fresh, I can still do that. But I reckon in a few weeks' time.
Well, see, when I think about Deadpool, I wanted to watch it again before seeing this, and I was kind of dreading it. I kind of didn't want to do it because I was like, I'm thinking about it. I'm just like, this, I don't remember much about it. It feels kind of just just a superhero movie, a fairly bland one with just a lot of pop culture references and gags thrown in. Okay. And I don't know if that's true because I didn't rewatch it. I rewatched one of the fight scenes because I was on YouTube and it was Deadpool fight scene. I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. And it was fine. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say with this.
Well, I guess the reason I remember the first is because that central conflict I think is way stronger in the first one, which is he's trying to get back to his girl.
Yeah.
in this one, it's felt forced.
Yeah.
It felt like exactly how he said it. Like he's only doing it because his girl told him to.
Yeah, I think that's the main flaw in the film, because in the first one he's trying to get his girl back, and it's kind of like the start of the film, his girl dies.
Yeah.
And it almost would have worked better as a John Wick type deal, where he just like goes and gets revenge on everyone responsible. But unfortunately, he immediately kills everyone responsible. So there's not really much he can do about that. But maybe that was a John Wick director being like, I don't want to do a John Wick again. But seeing Deadpool cutting down a ton of people would be great. Yeah. And that happens in the first montage, and that's good, good content.
Yeah.
That montage, I enjoyed it a lot. It's very well shot, nice cinematic montage, which is yeah.
I guess, like, having a movie that's a hybrid of a revenge and a comedy is kind of hard.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of, like, complete polar opposites.
Yeah, true. Because that doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No.
But
yeah.
You can have that kind of, like, humor where he's, like, really angry but still making gags. But, I'm not a writer, so...
Yeah, true. And that's the thing, because that is in the first one. Because the entire time You felt he wanted to get revenge to the main bad guy in the first one, Francis. That was his name.
Francis.
Yeah, so like he does show like anger in that, and like that's way more believable than that. I feel like definitely they created the plot around the jokes in this one more.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Also, I forgot the opening credits I thought was quite good.
Oh, yeah, I like the opening credits. Although, I learned something interesting about myself.
Yes.
In that I didn't read them until, like, the third one, when I noticed everyone was laughing at them.
All right.
I just kind of zoned out, and I was like, yeah, opening credits are going to say what's happening, but everything was jokes.
It was good. I like it. I think the first one still is a bit better, but I like it. The whole homage to James Bond films and... just in the style of how it's shot with the overly dramatic song with a lot of reverb and things like that. Excuse me. So yeah. Should we wrap her up?
Let's wrap her up.
Yeah.
My mic is falling to pieces and the camera has turned off.
Okay. Well,
thanks for watching, guys.
all listening.
All listening, because you can't really watch at this point now that the camera's turned off.
Yes.
But so that was our Deadpool 2 spoiler review. We think it's worth a watch.
Absolutely.
So that's a yes from us. Keep an eye out for our 30-second review, which will be uploading tonight.
Yep.
But you've probably already seen it, because it's way easier to watch a 30-second review than it is to watch a 40-minute podcast. Hence the channel. Hence why we exist.
Yes.
But we like to sit down with beers and talk about movies, and that's why we're here. Yep. Even though, Tom, take it away.
Alrighty. Now.
No, not sing. Just say your goodbyes.
All right.
To the fans.
All right.
To the fan.
Thanks for listening / watching, guys. You guys are great. Tune in next time.
Hooray! See ya.
See you later.